Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, Connoisseurs. It's Rod with POW Group, your home for MJ Stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Today is Saturday, July 19th. Hope you had a great week, and I hope you're having a great weekend. In this video, we're going to do another rapid-fire news update, this time for the period July 12th to the 18th. And again, it's just a high-level overview in case you missed it, and you can dive into it more in your own time. It's not to go into it in full detail, or would be here for hours. Before we get into the news, make sure to smash the like. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, you'll be notified on any future content. And I also post these videos every single weekend, and I do a crypto rapid fire news as well if you're interested in that. You can also follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward, and just got over the 1,000 follower mark, so really appreciate all of the support over there as well. The MJ Herald reports that 244 million people worldwide use marijuana, says the United Nations Drug Report. And this is only going to increase, especially as we see, a lot of prices come down, access, the barriers come down. There's going to be a lot more access. People aren't worried about the illicit market, not sure what's in it, etc. And then also just as more acceptable form factors come about, right? If you can see like a beverage or something like that with a lower dose, that's a lot less intimidating than, buying a gummy or something like that from the illicit market. And there's some horror stories that end up as a result of that, right? Because they don't have proper testing, and somebody has a gummy and they end up having a terrible experience. They did too much. So you definitely want to start low and go slow, but this number is going to absolutely skyrocket in my opinion, but just goes to show you, how much demand there is for this medicine of the future already. Aurora, MJ, there was some good news here as well with regards to this. They expanded their global reach. So they already had EU GMP certification, but this is for their Ontario distribution center, and I believe it was their fourth one. So they recently pivoted over to more of the medicinal side of things, right? So that it's no surprise that they're working on more of their EU GMP and international footprint. I don't even think they're in top 20 now in Canada in terms of recreational sales. I've never seen any of their products. One of my friends actually mentioned to me the other day that he bought some Aurora products, and it was through the medical distribution channels. So they're really honing in on that medical aspect, and I think it was a wise move. They were really dropping in the ranks, and this probably saved their business. Also, MaryMed partners with a Stoned Moose, love the name, to expand Betty's Eddies across Maine's MJ market. And one thing that I've noticed in the last couple of weeks is you can finally say cannabis and marijuana now without my videos getting banned or shadow banned or demonetized. So love to see that. Just goes to show you that reform is more than likely on the way in the US and the biggest economy and capital market of the world. Also, US House Committee spending bill would block marijuana rescheduling. There's been some kind of confusion and just FUD, fear, uncertainty, I doubt, with regards to this. I think it's a nothing burger. It's a committee, first of all, and then has to get approved by different levels of Congress, and I really can't see this happening. A new spending bill released by the House Appropriations Committee would block the Department of Justice from moving forward with marijuana rescheduling and would impose stricter penalties on marijuana sales near schools and parks. So I think this is just a nothing burger. I don't think they'll get the votes, and all the more reason to expedite this process. And we've got some information with regards to that and Terrence Cole and the DEA in just a moment. But ultimately, we need Congress to get together and work and deschedule this, right? It's ridiculous. We've been almost 7 years legal here in Canada at the federal level. What the hell is going on down there in the South? It's embarrassing. We need to, and 90% of Americans, this isn't just me as a Canadian with an opinion. There's polls, surveys saying that 90% of Americans want it legal in some form. So it's time for these elected officials to do what they're supposed to do and why they were put there in the first place, work for the people. And they're not doing that. The people want it legalized in some form, so it's time to legalize it, end this madness. Also, medical marijuana is an effective treatment option for chronic pain patients, improving quality of life, new study shows. And this is something that, it's basically preaching to the choir at this point, right? If you've been involved in cannabis, you know that this is medicine of the future. It's not just a healthier alternative to alcohol and tobacco, which are poison. This is medicine, folks. Also, there was an outcry as U.S. ICE raids hit cannabis cultivator Glasshouse brand. So I posted a video directly on this as well. I gave my thoughts and opinions. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know for sure. There's a lot of heat going on around this. There's a lot of, finger pointing. There's a lot of basically saying, no, we didn't knowingly do anything to break the law. Again, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not invested in it. All I will say is my gut doesn't say this is anything good. And, it was a darling in the space. Everybody was talking about how amazing it was. And just goes to show you how quickly things can flip on a dime, right? It went from being a darling in the space to risk of total loss. And when I say risk of total loss, I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm just saying there's a legitimate chance that this company might not recover. And even if even if they continue to operate, they're losing a lot of investor confidence. They're certainly not making a case for me to put my hard-earned dollars towards it. It was on my radar. I was looking at potentially adding it, but there's just so many other options out there. And it's just not good no matter how you slice it. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. We'll continue to follow the story. Heart goes out to the fatality and the family, those that were affected by that, and anybody who was affected by this raid. You never want to see this, and yeah, we'll see what happens here. But it's not a good look whatsoever. So I hope I'm wrong, but I really hope that nobody loses any money in terms of being an investor as well. Also, they had some news. This was on July 16th, shortly after all of the commotion. Glass House refinances their preferred stock. So one of the fastest growing vertically integrated MJ companies in the US today announced recapitalization and non-brokered private placement of their preferred stock, face value of $1,000 per share. The Series E preferred stock will replace G8's Glass House Group's existing Series B and Series C preferred stock. Any holders of the Series B and Series C preferred stock who elected not to exchange into the Series E preferred stock are being redeemed by Glass House Group, which effectively cancels the Series B and Series C preferred stock on a go-forward basis. So, yeah, there was some renewed optimism, I guess, as a result of this, getting their equity refinanced. But, well, again, we just don't know. No one has a crystal ball. All I will say is use utmost caution when investing in these companies, and especially with Glass House going forward. Don't invest any more than you're willing to lose. If you have any money into any MJ stock, I would say the same thing. Don't invest any more than you're willing to lose, as the golden rule. Also, report home values rose over $600,000 more in states with legal marijuana since 2009. I've covered this a couple times on the channel, and I think there's some truth to it. Here in Canada, we're starting to see home prices go up in Alberta. I think that was just because, it was so undervalued, but it does have a very vibrant cannabis community, and we actually had the first ever festival in Canada where it was outdoor. It was the comedy festival with Kevin Hart, and they had plant life there, so you could actually buy cannabis products directly on site grounds at that comedy festival. And it's just going to continue to expand, right? Events, you're going to be able to buy beverages and stuff like that at hockey games, etc., basketball games, wherever you're at. It's going to be the new preferred form factor. You're going to see it in restaurants, bars, everything, and it's just going to proliferate every single sector and part of the economy. And the fact that there's some states that are legal and some not. Yeah, definitely. I could see myself moving to a state where it was legal versus not legal, for sure, 100%. So I definitely think there's some truth to that, not just a coincidence. Also, the USDA database describes marijuana as medicinal. Imagine that, even as federal government keeps it in Schedule 1. So as we know, it's just insane. It's insanity. It's just foolishness at this point. The fact that it's even on there and considered, right up there with heroin, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life, right? And it's just years of lies and propaganda, but also slowing the industry down so the big pharma, big tobacco, big alcohol, the incumbents can get positioned. And like I said, the only thing that makes sense to me is that they are letting mom and pop shops come in, the little guy and gal, and then they're just weeding them all out, right? No pun intended. They're just waiting as long as possible so that, all the innovators come in, all the ones with the great ideas, they drag it on for so long, high taxation, etc., and then they all crumble and they come in and swoop up for pennies on the dollar, right? These big corporations that have the money to weather the storm, and they got all of their government friends behind them because they lobby for them. And then, as soon as they're ready to come in and swoop in and take over the market, that's what they'll do. Like I said, I worked for a pharmaceutical company, a multi-billion-dollar one, and they were involved in the opioid crisis, and they got fined billions of dollars. And then all of a sudden after that, they're like, oh, well, what's this CBD thing, right? What's this cannabinoid thing? And then for like 2 years, all they could talk about was cannabinoid-based products and CBD specifically. So the writing's on the wall, folks. Another Pennsylvania lawmaker files a marijuana legalization bill saying it will bring unprecedented economic opportunity. So read between the lines there, folks. This is going to get legalized in the United States and around the world at unprecedented levels, and it's going to create unprecedented economic opportunity. Just think of Florida. That state alone is going to generate so much, like just from the amount of tourism that they have as well. That'll be, in my opinion, the biggest state in the U.S., but if Pennsylvania can become the 25th state to legalize it recreationally, we're at half the U.S., folks. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And we're very close to the finish line at this point. Also, Cann sets sail at Minnesota Yacht Club as the exclusive THC seltzer. And I've actually tried these products. They're pretty decent. I think Tilray has distribution rights for them in Canada. I actually reviewed some of them. So you can check out that product review playlist if you want to see more on that. Also, High Tide. There was some news this week. I did a video on this. They closed on $30 million convertible debt from Kronos Group. So Kronos Group lends them $30 million as we start to see, Kronos is a producer, not into retail. High Tide's a retailer, not as a producer. So it's a win-win, really a win-win-win scenario because it's going to help consumers as well. And this is what we need, right? We need the industry to come together, especially in Canada, fight the illicit market and come together. And like I said, for a while now, you got Organigram. They recently had news where they were entering in the U.S. across 25 different states with their collective arts and hemp beverages, HD9. So like I said, for a while now, folks, these U.S. MSO companies, they're going to have their work cut out for them because not only is there a lot of competition in the U.S. alone, you're going to have to start dealing with these global players and these Canadian LPs as well, right? And we're already seeing that. And then you got Canopy Growth, which just acquired, through CUSA, Canopy USA, acquired Acreage, Jetty, and Wana. So again, a lot of competition, folks. Just be very, very mindful of that. And like I said, never invest any more than you're willing to lose into one particular company. Also, Cresco Labs set to report second quarter 2025 financial results on August 7th. And that will be before the market opens. They'll have a conference call as well on Thursday, August 7th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So it doesn't look like they're going to have any delays this time, but fingers crossed. Also, Trump signs fentanyl criminalization bill that could also open up research on marijuana, psychedelics, and other Schedule I drugs. So I'd love to see this. Like I said, I think the writing's on the wall. It's just a matter of time before they move on to rescheduling. And then, like I said, after the crypto bills are no longer in focus, speaking of which, U.S. House passes Landmark Digital Asset Clarity Act and setting framework for crypto regulation and legislation. So we had the Genius Act get officially signed into law by President Trump this week. I mentioned that some people were saying after the big beautiful bill is done, is a cannabis's turn. It's like, not so fast. It's crypto week, right? The 14th to the 18th was crypto week. They passed the first ever crypto bill, Genius Act, and that's exactly what I said. I wasn't expecting any massive news or any massive upside because I thought, crypto week, why would we expect cannabis? It's not cannabis week, right? They had bills that were being voted on, and then we had the Glass House drama as well and raid. So not a good look. And MSOS is actually a daily bear flag and an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross. So we could be back down to that low $2 mark on MSOS next week. And again, we're just not seeing it in the spotlight. It's not popular at the moment. And I do think that crypto is going to continue to steal the show as we head into next week because the market's really starting to heat up. We have alt season pretty much here. It's getting into the thick of it. And we have the Clarity Act and Anti-CBDC Act now, again, going to really take center stage in the political sphere here this week. And maybe even beyond that, it could get pushed into September. But I think it's going to happen a lot quicker than most anticipate. Also, Ascend Wellness launches fully refreshed e-commerce ecosystem. So the cannabis company's latest platform includes a new loyalty program and an elevated digital shopping experience. Also, Cookies, CKS Distro, and LTNC launch ready-to-drink tequila brand Adios, featuring premium Casa Rica tequila in 4 bold flavors. So again, you can see the rush into this category, right? These drinks, right? This format, it's going to be absolutely massive, folks. Ianthus continues its Florida expansion with Grow Healthy Dispensary in Palm Harbor. The grand opening marks the company's 22nd retail location, enhancing patient access to premium medical products through engaging experiences. Another company that has been really hit hard, and I'd be very cautious on this one. If you're looking at Ianthus, I wouldn't invest any more than maybe 0.5% of my net worth into this one. Also, the Senate sets initial vote on Trump's pick to lead DEA next week as marijuana rescheduling sits in limbo. So again, this is just the initial vote, and it could be, I really don't think, again, with crypto still continuing next week, I think it's going to be a little while before we know that Terrence Cole said that he wanted to make rescheduling a priority. He didn't say yay or nay for it or against it. He just said, we want it to be a priority. It's gone on long enough, essentially. But again, read through the lines. The top down wants it rescheduled, wants access to banking, was in favor of Florida Amendment 3. He wouldn't be put in there if he wasn't going to, jump if they said how high, right? So again, this is a great step in the right direction, but in my opinion, they'll probably delay this and it'll take like a few weeks. And then by the time he gets in, he'll have to get, up to speed and kind of get his feet wet, etc. And I would say it's more than likely into the fall, September, October, as the more realistic time frame where we see this rescheduled. And then, like I said, safer banking toward the end of the year, maybe early 2026. Definitely before the midterms in the U.S. I think they're going to want to get that done as low-hanging fruit. And once crypto legislation is done, which looks like it could happen here over the next couple weeks, months, then I think they're going to pivot over to cannabis policy. All right, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section below. It's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth, and we'll catch you on the next one.